I'm pretty lucky. I have an interesting position. I'm a community activist and I'm a law enforcement officer, and I've been passionately fighting on both sides of that. I've taken risks for officers and for citizens. You know, as I told you, I worked down here, and I was fortunate enough to author a large-scale anti-crime plan for this area back in 2003 when Captain Bob Landry was down here. And I've been lucky enough to serve with some community activists on some nonprofits all around helping kids. And this position gives me the advantage or the hurt of being at the courthouse, where every Friday I see the devastation that crime takes on our community when young folks, 18, 19, and 20 years old, are being sentenced to 20, 30, 50 years. They're being sentenced for violent crime, gang shootings, sometimes even torture. And what they're leaving is this wave of victims and broken families. And every one of these cases is costing us hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, because we're paying for the judges, the attorneys, the bailiffs, witness protection. We're paying over $40,000 a year to house these folks, and if they're getting 50 years, that's a lot of money. We're paying for parole and probation. We're even paying for the end costs to assist these folks back into the community through reentry for job skills, housing, and education. And when they name someone, that person may not be able to work, so we're paying for that person for a while. It's costing us. And I know, pun intended, but crime is killing us. Particularly in our minority communities, crime is literally killing us. So we got to get our minds around some intervention strategies. And we have to be at the table for the solutions. Imagine a city that values the safety of its kids as much as its pursuit of a new arena. Imagine a city that values the safety of its kids as much as an arena. Yeah. Not too long ago, I wrote an article in the online newspaper, Sacramento Press. And this is what I said in part of the article. I said, as long as policymakers and chunks of voters are unaffected and shielded from the horror of crime taking place in our forgotten neighborhoods, they will remain dispassionate about protecting those kids, and the crime and the rage in our community will continue. And until then, I speculated, how long will it be before the next Aaliyah Smith, a 15-year-old in South Sacramento who was murdered with a gun, to the next Tanya Garski, a young lady who was murdered in a robbery, Danielle Benefield, a young mother who was shot with a gun, out at Power Inn in Florida, not too far from here. Victor Perez, a young man in college who was shot downtown. How long until the next LaWanda Dupree, a 14-year-old who was shot last year with a gun? I also asked in the article, how long before the next family cries? How long before the next young person in a forgotten neighborhood succumbs to the violence in their environment and joins in the violence around them? Now, I published that article, Sacramento Press, on October 30th. And just about a month and a half later, we saw the tragic shooting of Monique Nelson just about 2 blocks from here on the other side of this shopping center. A mother who gave her life protecting her son from yet another incident of bullets flying in our community. And I tell you from my core that people should not live in fear in this American democracy. People should not live in fear in this American democracy.